And for our new project, we got a Mercedes.
Walking with you and you're moving pistons and you're rearranging all the pieces that you find. Now we're talking about things and places, all the names and the faces, all the people that you love. Time she'll trick you with her speed. You better soak it up in tea. Now we're spinning.
So what we have here is a 1993 Mercedes 300 TE 4Matic, which is the 124 chassis, made from 86 through I believe 95. This particular model, the 300 TE 4Matic, was made up until 93. I believe 90 to 93, only 3 years as far as I'm aware. That's because it was known colloquially as the problematic, because the transfer cases in these were incredibly complex and had an incredible habit of blowing up. Why would I buy a cheap Mercedes? Especially as the saying goes, there's nothing more expensive than a cheap Mercedes. Well, because despite the dirt and the mold and the other mildew from sitting for 4 years before I got my hands on it, it's in beautiful shape. And it came with a binder with all the dealer service records from 1993 when it was bought new, right up until 2009 when it was sold to the previous owners, who drove it for a year and then parked it when they said it started running hot. So you can see that the third row are nice and moldy. That'll take some cleaning. It has the spare fuel tank that I don't believe was an option in North America, that fits inside the spare tire. There's no rust to speak of on the vehicle, with the exception of this spot right here, where someone dented it. You can see the scrape on the bumper and then didn't fix it, so it's actually perforated through here. So I'll need to pop that back out and fix the little hole. Other than that, it is actually in very nice condition, and I absolutely love the color. So let's take a look under the hood, shall we? I love how they do that. So what you have here is the Mercedes M103 straight 6. Fairly bulletproof engine in terms of simply running. However, to get one of these running smoothly and well is a task unto itself, but we'll cross that in another video. This one actually runs pretty smoothly. This uses the Bosch CISE Jetronic fuel injection, which is a fully mechanical fuel injection system with 2 electrical add-ons, one being the lambda sensor, also known as the oxygen sensor, and the other one being, I believe, what's called an EHA valve, which varies the pressure in the CISE system depending on engine load, as far as I'm aware. Problems with this vehicle. Well, like I said, the previous owner said it was running hot. They've already replaced the thermostat. There are records of it having a new radiator put in, although it was quite some time ago, so it is possible that it became plugged again. Unlikely, not a common fault in these cars. Blown head gaskets are very, very common with the M103, and for that matter the M104 engine as well. However, these don't usually result in overheats. Usually, when the head gasket blows on one of these, it leaks oil in the far back left or right corner, or it seeps up here by the timing cover. Now, neither of these appear to be seeping oil, so I don't think that's the issue. Also, if we look inside the coolant tank, there doesn't appear to be any sign of oil. There's a little bit of scum in there, but this has blown the head gasket once before. However, from what I'm seeing here, this is just grit. It's not actually oil buildup. So it's probably due for a flush, but I don't think that's the issue. So why is it running hot then, if there's nothing wrong with it? Well, there's no record of the fan clutch ever being changed, and there's not much resistance there, so it's very possible the fan clutch is shot. The other common fault on these is the temperature sensors. They're notorious for going out of spec and reporting high or low. So it's very possible that there's nothing actually wrong with this engine other than the temperature sender itself. However, that being said, none of that is a major issue with this vehicle, as far as I'm concerned. Overheating is something that can be dealt with easily. The biggest issue is this. This is the hydraulic fluid reservoir. You can see there's two high pressure lines coming out of it. Sorry, high pressure return lines feeding into it. And down here, way down here, I don't know if you can see that or not, probably not, is the feed line that feeds over to this. This is the tandem pump, way down in here. This individually drives the power steering system, which feeds off of this reservoir, as well as the 4Matic gearbox and the SLS, which stands for self-leveling suspension. Why does this matter? Because when the internal seal in the transfer case blows, the transfer case fills up with hydraulic fluid. Now that transfer case, well, if you buy it from Mercedes, is a $5,000 part. You can get rebuilt ones from Sun Valley Transmissions, which I believe is out of Florida, for about $1,000 plus shipping. Or, supposedly, if you make yourself a few special tools, you can rebuild them yourself for about $600 in parts, tools, etc., plus your time. So there's that we'll have to look into. Other than that, I think it's in beautiful shape. I've just given it a quick pressure wash, as you saw, and then I soaped it up quickly just to see what the paint was like underneath. It's very clean. Like I said, there's no dents or dings. This was a very well cared for car before it was left to set for the last 4 years. Which I'm hoping means that maybe the hydraulic fluid just leaked out a rotted hose. The only body damage other than that dent I showed you earlier is this tiny scuff in the door here, which appears to just be in the clear coat. I'm thinking I could probably buff out. Other than that, it's very clean. Other things I'm going to have to fix after I deal with the transfer case and the hot running issue. The blower motor doesn't work. And also I've noticed that the oil level light I should say, flickers on when the engine's running, even though it's full of oil. So I'm thinking, judging by how dimly it runs, it's probably a grounding issue. That's fairly common, and since this was sitting for so long, it's very possible that some of the wires underneath the floorboards have gotten wet and possibly corroded, which would explain why also it seems to open the sunroof and this back window on its own for no reason whatsoever. So the plan is, probably in the next video, I'm going to jack it up and see what's inside the torque converter. and then we'll take it from there. But honestly, considering how little I paid, this is a pretty smart looking vehicle.